Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to Research Revisited. This is just going to be an hour where we can talk about two main themes related to research and writing. One is how to find sources, and related to that, how to assess what a good source is. And the second related topic is plagiarism, what we mean by it, how to avoid it, and how to find resources for annoying citation things. So please, let's start looking at that first question. Where do I go? If you're anything like me, the idea of a research paper is terrifying for many of reasons, one of which is simply, where am I supposed to find all this stuff? I really didn't figure out a lot of this until I was in my doctoral program, and I actually was explicitly guided into how to find things. And I would just randomly search whatever library catalog I happen to have access to, and try to figure something out from there. And it was not necessarily the best approach. So these are the places I want to encourage you to see as your go-to sources. The first are things like encyclopedias or dictionaries, and I don't mean Britannica, right? I don't mean Webster's. I mean things, for instance, like the Encyclopedia of Early Christianity, which is available down in our reading room, or the host of other encyclopedias of blank, encyclopedias of Eastern religions, encyclopedia of the Bible, the Dictionary of the Interpretation of the Old Testament. I don't know if many of those I just named existed, but something like them does. And here's the thing, again, if you're like me, you go to those at first thinking, that's where I'll get the information I'm trying to find. They will be the content of my research. So I want to know about the Lord's Prayer in early Christianity, so I will open up to the entry for the Lord's Prayer, and I will read through that nice 2-column entry, and that will give me some good information. This is true. It will, and you should do that. But what is almost more important than the actual content of the dictionary or encyclopedia entry is the bibliography that the author of that entry has provided. Because what that author has done is vetted all of the research that is available on this topic and submitted a list of bibliography of the most important works. So really, the best thing about these dictionaries and encyclopedias that we have in the library aren't the entries themselves, but that they can point you to a whole bunch of other resources as well. So you might read that bibliography and then go in search of something by that author with that article or that book. And even if you don't find those particular sources, it gives you the authors that you might find something else by if you search under them. And similarly, known authorities. What I mean by that is, in a class, you might have read a work related to a particular topic that was by some author. Now, normally your professor is not going to assign you an author that doesn't carry any authority in the field. And so you can look at other works by them and mine their footnotes and bibliography. For instance, Adam Boyd has a book. It's very boring, but it has a decent bibliography. So that if you were looking for other works on Augustine and the Trinity, you might look in the bibliography there to pull them out. Right? So again, you might know a particular author. You might have found only one book in your initial search, but chances are you can mine that book for more information and more sources. Also, in a book like this, you can also often look to the introductory chapters and see if that author has provided an analysis of scholarship on the topic, where they say, this is the state of the question as it stands now. Smith and Jones have written this, and so has written this, and then you can use the work that they have done to go back and look for those authorities. If you're working in a biblical frame, commentaries are very helpful in this regard. If you go downstairs to the reading room, we have several full commentary series. And say you are doing something on a particular passage in Isaiah, you can pull out those different commentaries on Isaiah and see who the authorities are for them. Who are the standard works on Isaiah that they're drawing from, and then draw from those as well as the original commentaries you looked at. Especially if you're able to find a very recent commentary that's going to have the most up-to-date bibliography and discussion of the field. So what that might allow you to do is to not simply get anything and everything, but they might be able to highlight who are the most important experts on Isaiah that I definitely have to read. Given that I only need 3 sources for the paper, and I only have about 20 minutes to do my research, what should I be doing? And that'll help you focus and narrow down. Now, I'm going to turn to ATLA in a second, but before I do that, this idea of using known authorities, encyclopedias, and dictionaries, any questions about that? The summary there is mine the bibliographies. They've done a lot of work for you. Now, how many of you, raise your hand if you have used ATLA? All right. Raise your hand if you have heard of ATLA or ATLA. Excellent. So, well, it's really weird that some of you have used it but not heard of it, but that's okay. That's okay. ATLA stands for the American Theological Library Association, or something very close to that. And it is a database dedicated to theological research, including biblical, historical, pastoral, practical, etc. Everything is covered in there. There are a few journals they don't have that people like me will argue about, but it's generally everything you're going to need. And you have free access to it through Webster Library, and you will continue to have free access to it after you graduate. So that's neat. But I'm going to click on this link, and this website is going to be posted at some point where you can access it. And this takes you, again, should have learned from this morning. This takes you to the library website. Come on, zoom in, won't you? Oh, that's okay. To get to ATLA, you're simply going to go to this blue box here, Articles and Databases. And under Articles and Databases, you're going to scroll down to Humanities, down to Religious Studies. You're going to click on that, and the first one it pops up as being most important is ATL Religion Database. When you click on that, it will ask you for your last name and your Eden 14-digit barcode. This is what is on your Eden Library ID. Personally, I find it really easy to just have your web browser save that password because I don't always have my ID on me. In fact, I lost mine about 3 years ago, but I haven't had to get a new one because my computer remembers it. And it's, you know, at your own risk as far as security and safety, but it's not your credit card number, right? So, but you'll eventually log in, and you will get, you'll get a screen like this, where you have a search engine up here. This stuff, I don't understand all of this. Some of it I do, some of it I don't. But that's okay, focus on this, right? And imagine you want to search for something by the worst scholar you can think of. You can just put in Floyd under, and then you can scroll down in this drop box to author. And then something will pop up. That's fine. Still don't like that that's the first one up there, but that's okay. You can also modify these searches. These words change. You can do Ployd and Augustine. You can do Ployd or Augustine, which would be weird. You can combine terms. You can say, I want it with this author's name and this term in the subject line and this scripture verse. You can even, that one of the fields, you can drop down and it can say scripture reference. And you can just put Romans 5:5 or something. Now, what you see here is the different ways it can return information. Here, it's telling you there's a book. I'm going to advise you to ignore the WorldCat stuff. I find it too confusing. It's not going to help you. When you're using the book, use the regular catalog search, which we will come to in a second. So if you found a book that's listed under here, just make a note of it and then go back. But the real gem for ATLA is articles and chapters that it might have full PDF text for. So here's one, full PDF text, okay? All you have to do is click on that. It'll take you to another page with a PDF. You download the PDF. You got it. You don't even have to get out of your jammies. It's really convenient. Others of them say things like linked full text. Let's click on that and see what it does. I bet it'll be interesting. Same thing. You can see for my Mac, I just click this thing over here, like if that'll pop back up. If I do, well, maybe, yeah, there you go. Again, just hit this and it'll download. Other computers will have different modes of doing that. But if it has linked full text or a PDF, you can get it right away. And that is really convenient. It means you don't have to go to the library and copy out the journal article. You don't have to request anyone else to do that. You can get it right away. And the only difference between linked to full text and PDF full text is simply where they are connecting to give it to you. Like here, it's internal to the ATL database that you can have it. Here, they have to link you to some other resource, but they can do that, and you can still get that PDF. Now, some of them you're not able to get like that. This is going to be interesting because it's listed not as an article, but as an essay. Essay meaning that it's not in a journal that publishes 2-4 times a year, but it is in a book of collected essays that has an editor. So those you're going to treat a little bit like a regular book, but not necessarily, for ways I will explain in a minute. But you may come to something like this. Oh, let's go down to, let's go to DuPont's review. Let's do some review. Well, I didn't mean to do that yet. What I just did accidentally was I clicked on this, article linker. And that brought me up to here, which is Webster and Eden saying, hi, we don't have this. Do you want us to get it? And when they say want us to get it, they mean make a scan of it or order a scan of it from some other institution and then deliver it to you via email. And the answer is, oh, yes, please. That's really convenient. Because if you hit request it here, little blue block, yep. You just click that. It takes you to the Interlibrary Loan webpage. I will explain more about this in a second. But the quick thing is, it fills in all of the information that is needed for you. You don't have to put that in. It just says, oh, you want all this? Okay, great. And then you will click the Submit Request for the review from Zeitschrift. And it'll show up within a week, normally only within a few days, to your inbox. Or rather, they will save it for you on this so that you can go on and download it. Now I'm going to pause and I'm going to move in a second to talk about using the library catalog, using Mobius, and using Interlibrary Loan. But before I do, are there questions about ATLA? which is specifically this thing. All right, so to get to this, we went from the library homepage, which is this, library.webster.edu. And there are lots of other things that you can access through the Webster Library that we don't really realize. Namely, Mobius and Iliad, the interlibrary loan. But let's just refresh our memory about the easiest way to try to find a book, right? Imagine you're looking for that same author. You can change that to author. And you're under the tab Catalog. And you want to look for Floyd. And you say, oh, look, there's a book by Floyd. That's nice. So you can click on that. You can see where it is. You can see Webster has it. You see the call number. It's in the basement. You can have it. You can have the call number texted to your phone. I love that. God forbid I ever have to write anything down. It's great. And you can go and get the book. But what happens if you want a book that we don't have, such as a book by my colleague Dan Williams called Ambrose and the End of the Nicene-Arian Controversy? We'll just do this. Whoops. Your search didn't come up with anything. In fact, since I was searching for title, it's listing all the titles, and right where this would come, it shows that there's nothing like that. What do? Search Mobius? Yes, please. Because when you click that, it will pop up here. And what this shows you is that 7 libraries within the Mobius system have that book. And the Mobius system, in case you haven't figured out yet, is a Missouri-wide network consortium of libraries that do loans with each other faster than the larger interlibrary loan system. Interlibrary loan can get you something from Australia. This is anything within Missouri, and because of that, it's faster. In fact, usually whatever we need is within St. Louis itself, between SLU, WashU, us, and a couple of the Catholic seminaries. But what you would do here is you would say, oh yes, I do want to request it. You would request it, click on that. It would ask you to find your cluster. Our cluster is Bridges, Mobius Bridges. Don't really know why. We've got Bridges. I guess that's it. And once you hit that, you can submit that. And then, for me, I have it auto-fill this in, but again, you may have to do all this. Your name and your ID. And it's got your cluster, pickup location. You're going to go all the way down to Webster University Emerson Library. Right? Not US sites. Webster University has sites all across the world and the nation. You just want Emerson Library, the main one. You click that, it'll verify it, it'll be here normally within a week. It's really convenient. In fact, I find that since few of us have time to be going to the library back and forth all the time, if you know that there are books that the library has that you want, and you have to order some books too, I just wait until I know my books are in, and then I go and make one trip to pick up everything that I need, both those that are in the basement and those that are being given to me by Mobius that I get at the front desk. Makes it easy to do it in one fell swoop. Now, what if it's not a book? What if it is one of these articles or essays that I found that I wanted? And I want to be able to get a PDF of this book chapter or of this article. Well, you go into where it says Services, highlight that, Request Articles and Books. request articles and books. You are let me make that a little bigger. You are a St. Louis patron, even if you don't live right in St. Louis. And if you're doing an article request, for instance, it'll take you into Library Loan. It'll give you all these different links that will eventually lead you down to here where it says ILL. You will go into there, and you'll see for me, I'm already logged in. You will have to, if you haven't used it before, you will have to fill out a profile, just saying, hi, I'm this student, this is my ID number, so can I please request books? And they will say yes. And from then on out, you just go to, so that's not going to expand it, right? Oh, yeah. Just go to new request on the side here. So if you want, for instance, a journal article, you request a journal article. And this is that thing we saw before where they had already filled it out when I linked from ATLA. They won't always do that. Sometimes you find an article, but it doesn't have that link. But you can figure out what the journal title, the article title, the year, and all of these different things are, and submit it. And within a few days, 2 to 3 days, they will email you and say, your article is ready. And then you will log back in and go to view electronically received articles. And then, so I think I still actually have a few in there. Yeah. So these are some that I have recently ordered. They're there. You click on view and download the PDF. Bing, bang, boom. You got all the research of the world at your fingertips. It's pretty smooth. And you can use that for book chapters, articles, and if there are books you can't find in Mobius, you can use that too. It's very helpful if there's a dissertation somebody has written. You might be able to request it through there. So, by the way, you may have noticed Matthew is making a video in the back there. So this will be available eventually for y'all to re-look at if you need. But as I was telling the earlier group this morning, when it comes to things like the library website, ATLA, interlibrary loan, play around. Because you learn how to use it by using it, right? And so simply go on and try to find things. See what you can get. Because normally if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. It's not a big deal. You start over. Worst case scenario, some poor librarian has a little extra work. Sucks for them, they will be okay. I promise you. That's why they get paid millions of dollars. That's why they get the big bucks. Big bucks. But the one thing that is implicit in everything that I am saying, that I want to make explicit, is that while Eden and Webster provide you with all the tools to get access to anything you need, just about, for research, it takes time, right? So you can't rely on this system for last-minute work. So you have to plan it